The deep silence of space was broken by the soft hum of the patrol ship Blue Star's engines. Captain James Walker stood at the bridge window, his eyes fixed on the endless darkness ahead. His ship had been patrolling the outer edges of human space for 3 months now, and every day felt the same as the last. But today was different. Today, something caught his attention. "Captain, we're picking up an unusual reading," said Kate Miller, the ship's engineering officer. Her fingers moved quickly across the glowing control panel. "It's faint, but it's definitely there." Walker walked over to her station, his boots making soft thuds against the metal floor. "What kind of reading?" "Metal. A lot of it. But the signature is strange." Kate's forehead wrinkled as she studied the readings. "It's like nothing I've ever seen before." Walker nodded slowly. After 15 years in space, he had learned to trust Kate's instincts. "How far?" "About 2 hours at standard speed, sir. It's just sitting there, not moving." "Plot a course," Walker ordered. He pressed the ship's comm button. "Tom, get up to the bridge. We might have something interesting." Tom Reed, the chief science officer, arrived a few minutes later, looking like he had just woken up. His gray hair was messy, but his eyes were sharp and alert. "What have we got?" As Kate explained the readings, Walker watched the stars through the window. Something about this felt different from their usual patrols. The outer colonies weren't supposed to have any ships this far out. Pirates rarely ventured this deep into empty space. Whatever they were approaching, it wasn't supposed to be here. 2 hours passed slowly. The crew grew more tense with each passing minute. Finally, Kate's instruments began beeping rapidly. "Visual range in 30 seconds, she announced. Walker leaned forward in his chair, put it on the main screen. The large screen at the front of the bridge flickered to life. At first, there was nothing but stars. Then they saw it. "That's impossible," Tom whispered. Floating silently in space was a ship, but not just any ship. It was massive, easily 3 times the size of the Blue Star. Its hull was dark, almost black, with strange patterns that seemed to shift and move in the starlight. The design was like nothing Walker had ever seen before, smooth in some places, angular in others, with sections that appeared to fold into themselves in ways that didn't make sense. "Are you getting any power readings?" Walker asked. Kate shook her head. "No, yes. Wait." She frowned at her screen. "The readings keep changing. It's like the ship is breathing." "Life signs?" "None that I can detect," Tom replied, now fully awake and working at his own station. "But these readings, Captain, according to my initial scans, this ship is old. Really old." "How old?" "At least 300 years. Walker felt a chill run down his spine. That was impossible. Humans had only achieved faster than light travel 60 years ago. There couldn't be a ship this advanced from 300 years in the past. "Sir," Kate called out, her voice tense. "I'm detecting something else. The hull, it's made of some kind of alloy I've never seen before. It seems to be absorbing our scan signals and redirecting them." Walker made a decision. "Bring us in closer. Standard approach pattern. Alert security to prepare a boarding team." As the Blue Star moved closer, more details of the mysterious ship became visible. There were no visible weapons, but something about the vessel's design suggested power. The hull wasn't just dark, it seemed to swallow the light around it. And those strange patterns, they were definitely moving, like ripples in a pond. "I found something," Tom announced. "There's an airlock on the port side, still sealed, and—" He paused, double-checking his readings. "There's air inside the ship, old but breathable." Walker stood up. "Kate, you're with me. Tom, keep monitoring from here. If anything changes, anything at all, I want to know immediately." The boarding team assembled quickly. Walker looked at the 6 people in front of him. Kate, 2 security officers, a medical officer, and 2 engineers. All of them were experienced spacefarers. All of them looked nervous. They crossed the gap between the ships in a small shuttle. Up close, the mysterious vessel was even more impressive. The hull seemed to react to their presence, the patterns moving more quickly as they approached. The airlock was surprisingly easy to open. It recognized standard human protocols, which only added to the mystery. As they stepped inside, their helmet lights illuminated a corridor that stretched into darkness. "Power's minimal," Kate reported, checking her handheld scanner. "But something's still running in here. Some kind of background system." They moved deeper into the ship. Everything was clean. No dust, no debris, like the ship had been preserved in perfect condition. The corridors were wide, with strange markings on the walls that reminded Walker of circuit boards. Then they found the bridge. It was massive, with a ceiling that arched high above them. Instead of traditional control panels, there were platforms that rose from the floor, each covered in what looked like liquid metal that had frozen in mid-flow. "This is advanced," Kate whispered, her voice filled with awe. "Way too advanced for 300 years ago. Way too advanced for now." Walker approached what appeared to be the central platform. As he got closer, the liquid metal began to move. Patterns of light raced through it, and the air filled with a soft humming sound. "Captain," one of the security officers called out nervously, "maybe we should." Before he could finish, every surface in the bridge came to life. Light poured from the walls, and the liquid metal platforms began to shift and reform. A voice filled the room, neither male nor female, neither young nor old. "Human presence detected. Initiating awakening protocols. Guardian system online." Walker and his team stood frozen as the ship that shouldn't exist began to wake up around them. The bridge lights pulsed with a soft blue glow as Guardian's voice echoed through the chamber. Kate Miller's hand tightened on her scanner as streams of data began flowing across its screen. The security officers raised their weapons instinctively, but Walker held up his hand, signaling them to wait. "I am Captain James Walker of the patrol ship Blue Star," he announced, his voice steady despite his racing heart. "We're here on a peaceful mission of exploration." The liquid metal on the central platform swirled and rose, forming shapes that looked almost like holographic displays. "Welcome, Captain Walker. This vessel has waited 342 years, 5 months, and 17 days for suitable human contact." Tom's voice crackled over the radio from the Blue Star. "Captain, the ship's power readings are climbing. Whatever was sleeping in there is definitely awake now." Walker stepped closer to the central platform. "Guardian, you said you were waiting. Waiting for what?" "For humanity to advance sufficiently to understand what we offer." The liquid metal displays showed images of Earth, then various space battles, then complex mathematical formulas that made Kate gasp. This vessel was created by the Phoenix Initiative, a secret organization that operated on Earth during the late 21st century. Kate moved to one of the smaller platforms, her scanner working overtime. "That's impossible. We barely had space stations back then." "Correct, Engineering Officer Miller. The Phoenix Initiative discovered something they were not meant to find." The displays shifted, showing strange geometric shapes that seemed to bend in impossible ways. They found the remains of 3 different alien vessels that had crashed on Earth over the centuries. Each contained different technologies, different approaches to physics and space travel. The initiative combined these technologies with human innovation. One of the security officers, John, whistled softly. "They built this ship from alien tech. Why haven't we ever heard of them?" The liquid metal rippled. The initiative knew humanity wasn't ready. Other alien species were watching Earth. If they discovered that humans had access to advanced technology too soon, they would have seen us as a threat. The initiative created this vessel, named it Reckoning, and sent it into deep space to wait. Walker watched as more displays came to life around them. The walls themselves seemed to be turning transparent, giving them a full view of space around the ship. "What makes this ship so special? Allow me to demonstrate." Guardian's voice took on a different tone, almost proud. "Engineering Officer Miller, please approach the second platform on your right." Kate looked at Walker, who nodded. She stepped onto the platform, and suddenly her feet were surrounded by the liquid metal. She started to pull back, but then stopped, her eyes widening. I can feel the ship's systems. It's like they're talking to me. Her hands moved through the air, and displays responded to her movements. Captain, this ship's hull isn't just metal. It's billions of microscopic machines that can change their structure instantly. They can absorb energy, redirect it, or even use it to strengthen the hull. Correct, Guardian confirmed. The Reckoning was built to adapt and evolve. Every weapon fired at it, every scan performed on it, teaches it new ways to defend itself. It learns and grows stronger with each encounter. Tom's voice came over the radio again, more excited now. Captain, you need to see these readings. The ship's quantum processors are unlike anything we've ever built. They're not just fast. They're actually calculating things before they happen. Precognitive computing, Guardian explained. The ship can run billions of combat simulations in seconds, predicting enemy movements and calculating perfect counter strategies. But it requires human intuition to work properly. The Phoenix Initiative believed that technology alone wasn't enough. It needed to be guided by human creativity and determination. Walker looked around the bridge, taking in the incredible technology surrounding them. Why reveal yourself to us now? The displays suddenly shifted, showing various sectors of space. Red dots appeared, moving in formation. Because humanity faces its greatest threat. The Dominion fleet approaches your colonies. Their technology is centuries ahead of current human capabilities, but they have never encountered anything like the Reckoning. Kate was still working with the ship's systems, her face lit with amazement. Captain, these weapons systems, they're beyond anything we've ever imagined. The ship doesn't just fight. It rewrites the rules of combat itself. But we need to learn how to use it, John pointed out. And fast, by the looks of those fleet movements. Walker stood silent for a moment, weighing their options. This ship was a gift from humanity's past, built by people who knew this day would come. But it was also dangerous. Power like this could change everything. Guardian, how long would it take to train a crew to operate this vessel? Basic operations can be learned in 48 hours. Full combat capabilities will require approximately 5 days of intensive training. The liquid metal shifted again, forming what looked like training interfaces. I can begin immediately if you wish. Before Walker could respond, Tom's urgent voice came over the radio. Captain, long-range sensors just picked up something. 3 Dominion scout ships, heading this way. They'll be here in less than 6 hours. Kate looked up from her platform. We can't let them find this ship before we know how to use it. Walker straightened his back, years of command experience helping him make the decision. Guardian, start the training now. We'll split into shifts, half the crew learning while the other half maintains watch. Kate, you focus on the engineering and weapons systems. John, get your security team working on defensive capabilities. And you, Captain Walker, Guardian asked. I need to know everything about this ship's combat potential. Show me what the Reckoning can really do. He turned to his crew. We have 6 hours to learn enough to survive our first fight. The Dominion's about to discover that humanity has some surprises of its own. The liquid metal platforms pulsed with energy as Guardian began the training sequences. Around them, the ancient ship hummed with power, its hull rippling with patterns that seemed eager for the coming battle. Deep in space, where no human ship should have existed, humanity's greatest weapon was finally awakening. And not a moment too soon. Time moved too quickly as the crew rushed to learn the Reckoning systems. Kate's fingers flew across the liquid metal controls, her mind struggling to keep up with the flood of information Guardian was feeding her. The engineering systems were like nothing she had ever seen. They didn't just respond to problems. They solved them before they happened. 4 hours until Dominion scouts arrive. Tom's voice announced over the radio. He had stayed aboard the Blue Star to monitor the enemy's approach. Walker stood at the main control platform, watching tactical displays materialize in the air around him. Guardian was showing him combat scenarios, each one more complex than the last. The ship's quantum processors could predict enemy movements with frightening accuracy. "Guardian," Walker called out, "show me again how the hull responds to energy weapons." The display shifted, showing a simulation of a Dominion blast hitting the ship. The microscopic machines in the hull absorbed the energy, channeled it through the ship's systems, and could even send it back as a counterattack. "The key is timing," Guardian explained. "The hull can't absorb energy indefinitely. You must release it at the perfect moment for maximum effect." John and his security team were learning the defensive systems on the lower deck. They had discovered that the Reckoning could create energy shields unlike anything in the human fleet. The shields didn't just block attacks. They could bend space itself, making incoming fire miss entirely. "Captain," Kate called out, her voice tense with excitement. "I think I found something interesting." Her platform was displaying complex energy patterns. The ship's power core doesn't just generate energy, it harvests it from space itself. "We'll never run out of power, but—" She paused, frowning. "Using too many systems at once puts enormous strain on the hull." 3 hours to contact, Tom updated them. Walker moved to Kate's station. "What kind of strain?" "The hull's microscopic machines can burn out if we push them too hard. We need to be careful how we use the ship's abilities. One wrong move and we could lose whole sections of our defenses." Guardian's voice filled the bridge. "That is correct. The Reckoning is powerful, but not invincible. It requires careful management of its systems to function effectively." Walker nodded, making mental notes. Everything about this ship was a balance. Incredible power that needed to be used with precision and care. Just the kind of weapon humans were good at mastering. 2 hours to contact. The crew worked faster. Kate had managed to link their modern communication systems with the Reckoning's ancient but advanced technology. They could now coordinate with the Blue Star seamlessly. John's team had mastered the basics of the shield controls, though the more advanced features would take days to fully understand. "Captain," Tom's voice was urgent now. "The scouts changed course. They'll be here in 1 hour." Walker looked at his crew. They weren't ready. Not really. But they had learned enough to have a chance. "Guardian, what are our options?" The tactical display expanded, showing their position relative to the approaching Dominion ships. "The scouts are equipped with long-range scanners and energy weapons. Their shields are formidable by your current standards, but primitive compared to the Reckoning's capabilities. Can we hide?" "The hull can absorb their scanning beams, making us appear as space debris. However, this will alert them that something is wrong. Standard debris does not absorb scans." Kate spoke up from her station. "What if we don't hide? What if we let them see exactly what they're afraid of?" Walker turned to her. "Explain." "The Dominion thinks humanity is primitive, right? So let's show them something impossible. Let's show them a human ship that breaks all their rules about what we should be capable of." Guardian's displays shifted, running simulations of Kate's idea. An interesting strategy. The psychological impact could be significant. 30 minutes to contact. Walker made his decision. "Kate, power up all systems but keep them running at minimum levels. John, have your team ready on the shield controls. Tom, move the Blue Star to a safe distance." He stepped onto the main platform, feeling the liquid metal respond to his presence. "Guardian, show me the most efficient way to take down their shields." The next 20 minutes were a blur of final preparations. The Reckoning's hull rippled with barely contained power. Kate had all engineering systems running perfectly, ready to channel energy wherever they needed it. John's team had practiced their shield timing until they could react almost instantly. Contact in 5 minutes. 3 Dominion scouts, attack formation. Walker watched the tactical display as 3 red dots approached their position. The Dominion ships were sleek and deadly, their hulls gleaming with a metallic purple sheen that marked their advanced technology. They moved with precision, spreading out to surround what they thought was an easy target. "They're scanning us," Kate reported. "Their beams are much stronger than ours. They're trying to burn through our hull." "Let them scan," Walker ordered. "Show them exactly what we are." The Dominion ships suddenly halted their approach. Their formation shifted, weapons coming online as they realized what they were facing. "They're charging weapons," John reported. "High-energy plasma cannons." Walker felt a smile cross his face. "Guardian, let's show them what a real ship can do." "Kate, power to weapons." "John, shields at your discretion. Let's make humanity's first impression count." The Dominion ships fired as one, 3 brilliant beams of plasma streaking through space toward the reckoning. John's team activated the shields, but not in the way the Dominion expected. Instead of trying to block the shots, the shields bent space around them, causing the plasma beams to curve away harmlessly. "Energy absorbed and ready," Kate called out. "Hull is charged to maximum safe levels. Guardian, target their lid ship. Let's return their greeting." The Reckoning's hull pulsed, and all the energy they had absorbed from the scans and plasma fire was released in a single devastating burst. The beam struck the lead Dominion ship's shields and shattered them like glass. The ship itself tumbled backward, its hull scared and its systems failing. The other 2 ships began to turn, preparing to retreat. They had come expecting to find primitive human vessels. Instead, they had found something that should not exist, a human ship with technology that rivaled or surpassed their own. "Should we pursue?" John asked. Walker watched the tactical display, seeing the fear in the Dominion ship's desperate retreat. "No. Let them run. Let them tell their fleet what they found out here. Let them wonder what other impossible ships humanity might have waiting." As the Dominion scouts fled into deep space, Walker looked around at his crew. They were tired but proud. In just a few hours, they had learned enough about this gift from humanity's past to drive off 3 enemy ships. But this was just the beginning. "How long until they return with a larger fleet?" he asked Guardian. "Based on their known behavior patterns, we have approximately 72 hours before they return with capital ships." Walker nodded. "Then we have 72 hours to learn everything else this ship can do." "Kate, John, get your teams ready for the next training session. We've shown them what humanity can do with just a few hours of practice. Let's show them what we can do with 3 days." The next 3 days aboard the Reckoning passed in a blur of intense training and preparation. Kate had barely slept, spending every possible moment learning the ship's complex engineering systems. Her mind felt like it was on fire with new knowledge, but she couldn't stop. Not with what was coming. "The hull can do more than just absorb energy," she explained to Walker as they stood on the bridge. She waved her hand through the liquid metal controls, and a section of the ship's wall became transparent. "Watch this." She sent a command, and the hull's microscopic machines began to shift. The metal rippled like water, then formed complex patterns that seemed to bend light around them. "Stealth mode?" Walker asked, impressed. "Better," Kate grinned. "The hull can create perfect copies of itself. We can make the enemy see multiple ships where there's only one, or make them see nothing when we're right in front of them." On the lower decks, John and his security team had made their own discoveries. They had learned that the shield systems could be used offensively, creating bubbles of warped space that could trap enemy ships or tear them apart. "The quantum processors are the key," John explained during their daily briefing. "They don't just predict where the enemy will be. They show us every possible move they might make. We can counter attacks before they even decide to make them." Tom's voice came over the radio from the Blue Star. "Captain, long-range sensors are picking up something big. The Dominion fleet is gathering at their forward base, at least 30 capital ships, maybe more." Walker stood at the main control platform, where Guardian was showing him tactical displays of the coming battle. The liquid metal swirled around his feet as he studied the enemy formations. "They're not just sending ships," Guardian announced. "They're sending their best fleet commander, Admiral Vex. His tactical abilities are considered legendary among the Dominion." "How do you know this?" Walker asked. The Reckoning's quantum processors can intercept and decode their communications. Admiral Vex has never lost a battle. He believes this will be a simple operation to eliminate an unexpected human threat. Kate looked up from her station. He's in for a surprise. Captain, there's something else you should see. She brought up a new display, showing the ship's power core. The sphere of energy at the ship's heart pulsed with colors that shouldn't exist in normal space. The core doesn't just power our systems, it learns from them. Every time we use the ship's abilities, it finds ways to do them better, faster, more efficiently. It's like the ship is evolving with us. 24 hours until the Dominion fleet arrives, Tom reported. Walker gathered his crew on the bridge. They looked tired but determined. 3 days of non-stop training had changed them. They moved differently now, more in sync with the ship's flowing movements. Guardian, Walker called out. Show us everything we know about their fleet. The air filled with holographic ships, each one a detailed model of a Dominion vessel. Their weapons, shield systems, and tactical capabilities were displayed in flowing streams of data. Their capital ships carry quantum-tipped missiles, Guardian explained. A direct hit would disrupt our hull's molecular structure. However, their targeting systems are predictable. The Reckoning can calculate their firing solutions faster than they can execute them. John pointed to the largest enemy ship. That's Vex's command vessel. Correct. The Dominion believes in concentrated command and control. Disrupt their flagship, and the fleet's coordination will suffer. Kate was working at her station, running simulations. Captain, I think I found something. The Dominion ships use quantum communications to coordinate their attacks, but their quantum systems are primitive compared to ours. We might be able to interfere with their signals. Walker watched as she demonstrated, using the Reckoning's advanced processors to scramble test communications. Can they detect the interference? No. That's the beautiful part. As far as they know, their communications are perfect, but we can subtly alter their targeting data, their sensor readings, everything. We can make them see what we want them to see. 12 hours to contact. The crew spent the remaining time running battle drills. Kate fine-tuned the hull's response times, finding ways to absorb and redirect energy more efficiently. John's team practiced complex shield maneuvers, learning to create overlapping fields of warped space that could protect the entire ship while still allowing their weapons to fire. Walker stood at his control platform, watching his crew work. They had learned more in 3 days than most crews learned in years. The Reckoning wasn't just a powerful ship, it was the perfect teaching tool, adapting its systems to match their growing skills. 6 hours to contact. Guardian, Walker called out. Show me Admiral Vex's past battles. I want to understand how he thinks. The displays filled with tactical data, showing dozens of battles. Vex was indeed brilliant, but he had one weakness. He had never lost. He didn't know how to handle defeat, how to adapt when his plans failed. 3 hours. Kate called everyone to the bridge for a final briefing. The hull is at peak efficiency. We've mapped out every power conduit, every possible way to channel energy through the ship's systems. We can't match their numbers, but we can outthink them. 1 hour to contact. The crew took their positions. The Reckoning's hull rippled with barely contained power, its microscopic machines ready to adapt to whatever the enemy threw at them. The quantum processors hummed as they calculated millions of possible battle scenarios. Guardian, Walker said quietly. What are our chances? The Dominion fleet outguns us 30-1. Their weapons can crack planets. Their shields can withstand nuclear explosions. The AI paused. But they have never encountered a ship like this, crewed by humans who learned in days what should take years to master. They expect a primitive vessel playing with stolen technology. Show them instead what humanity can do when pushed to its limits. Contact in 10 minutes. Dominion fleet emerging from faster-than-light travel. Walker looked at his crew one last time. Kate at engineering, her hands dancing through the liquid metal controls. John at tactical, his team ready to bend space itself to protect the ship. Tom watching from the blue star, ready to coordinate their movements. This is what the reckoning was built for, Guardian reminded them. This is why it waited 3 centuries to be found. Humanity's greatest test is about to begin. The space around them lit up as 30 Dominion capital ships appeared, their purple hulls gleaming with deadly purpose. At their center was Admiral Vex's flagship, larger than all the others, its weapons already charging. Walker felt the ship respond to his thoughts through the control platform. "Let's show them what impossible really means," he said. Guardian, battle stations. Kate, power to all systems. John, shields ready. The Reckoning's hull began to glow as it prepared for war. The ship that shouldn't exist was about to face its greatest challenge, crewed by humans who had learned its secrets in 3 short days. The battle for humanity's future was about to begin. Admiral Vex's fleet filled the void of space with their massive purple hulls, their weapons charging with enough power to destroy a small moon. The Reckoning floated alone against the 30 capital ships, its dark hull rippling with energy as it prepared for battle. "Enemy fleet is launching fighters," Tom reported from the Blue Star, which had retreated to a safe distance. Hundreds of them. Walker stood calm at his control platform as the liquid metal swirled around his feet. "Kate, start the power cycles. John, ready the hull's stealth systems. Let's show them our first trick." The Dominion fighters streaked toward them, their engines leaving purple trails in the darkness. But as they approached, something strange happened. The Reckoning seemed to blur, then split into 3 identical ships. "Energy mirrors holding steady," Kate reported from her station. "The hull is producing perfect copies. They won't know which one is real until it's too late." The fighters split their formation, trying to attack all 3 targets at once. Their weapons fired, filling space with deadly energy beams. But the Reckoning's quantum processors had already calculated their attack patterns. John's team activated the shield systems, bending space itself to redirect the enemy fire harmlessly away. "Dominion command frequency detected," Guardian announced. "Admiral Vex is ordering his capital ships to advance." The massive enemy vessels moved forward, their main guns glowing with building power. Walker watched the tactical display as the quantum processors showed him their likely moves. "Kate, ready the hull absorbers. They're about to hit us with everything they have." The capital ships fired as one, 30 beams of devastating energy lancing out toward the Reckoning and its mirror images. The real ship's hull came alive, its microscopic machines working in perfect harmony to absorb the incoming fire. "Hull charge at maximum," Kate shouted. "We need to release the energy now." Walker's hands moved through the liquid metal controls. "Guardian, calculate maximum damage point. John, drop the mirrors on my mark." He waited as the quantum processors found the perfect target. Now, the mirror images vanished, and the Reckoning released all its stored energy in a single massive burst. The beam struck one of the Dominion capital ships dead center. Its shields shattered instantly, and its hull cracked open like an egg. The mighty vessel split in 2, secondary explosions tearing it apart from within. "First blood to the impossible ship," Guardian commented. But Admiral Vex was not legendary for nothing. His fleet quickly adapted, spreading out in a new formation that would prevent the Reckoning from concentrating its fire effectively. "They're surrounding us," John warned. "Multiple targeting locks detected." Walker smiled. "Kate, show them your new trick." Kate's fingers danced through the controls. The Reckoning's hull began to change, its surface becoming like liquid mirror. When the Dominion ships fired, their beams didn't just miss. They were reflected back, each ship hit by its own weapons. "Their shields are weakening," Guardian reported. But Admiral Vex is launching the quantum-tipped missiles. Dozens of missiles streaked out from the Dominion ships, their warheads designed to tear apart matter at the molecular level. The quantum processors worked frantically, calculating trajectories and possible escape routes. "We can't dodge them all," John said, his hands moving across the shield controls. "We don't need to," Kate replied. Her station was showing new energy patterns forming in the hull. The microscopic machines have adapted to the quantum signatures. They can match the frequency. And she didn't finish her sentence as the first missile struck the Reckoning. But instead of destroying the hull, it was absorbed into it. Then another and another. The ship's surface rippled like a pond in a rainstorm as it consumed each missile. Power levels exceeding all previous measurements, Guardian announced. Hull transformation beginning. The Reckoning's surface began to change. The absorbed quantum energy was reforming the microscopic machines, making them even more advanced. The ship wasn't just adapting. It was evolving in the middle of battle. By all known laws of physics, this shouldn't be possible, Kate said in awe. The ship is rewriting its own structure. Admiral Vex's voice suddenly boomed across all frequencies. What manner of demon ship is this? Walker keyed the response channel. This is humanity's answer to your invasion. A ship that learns, adapts, and evolves. A ship that turns your own power against you. A ship that shouldn't exist, but does. The Reckoning's new form stabilized, its hull now covered in patterns that seemed to move in 5 dimensions at once. The quantum processors had evolved too, giving them perfect prediction of every enemy movement. All power systems ready, Kate reported. The hull can now generate quantum fields of its own. Time to end this, Walker said. Guardian, calculate a firing solution that will disable their entire fleet simultaneously. Kate, prepare to channel everything we've absorbed. John, drop all shields and give the power to weapons. The Dominion fleet was already trying to retreat, their legendary admiral finally facing something he couldn't overcome. But the Reckoning was faster now, its evolved systems operating at impossible levels. Space itself seemed to bend as the ship released its power. Quantum fields erupted from its hull, spreading out in a web of energy that trapped the Dominion ships in place. Then the main beam fired, not one beam, but 30, the hull splitting the energy perfectly to strike each capital ship at its weakest point. The results were devastating. Shields failed, engines died, and weapons went dark across the entire Dominion fleet. Admiral Vex's mighty armada hung powerless in space, defeated by a single ship that had broken every rule they thought they understood. Enemy fleet is completely disabled, Guardian reported. Their power systems are burnt out. Life support remains functional. Walker opened the communication channel again. Admiral Vex, this is Captain Walker. The next evolution of our weapons will not disable your ships. It will destroy them. Take your fleet and go. Tell your leaders what you found here. Tell them about the ship that shouldn't exist and what it did to your undefeated fleet. There was a long pause before Vex responded, his voice heavy with shock. We withdraw. But know this, human, you have changed everything. The galaxy will hear of this day. Emergency power flickered across the Dominion ships as they slowly turned away. Their retreat was awkward, ungraceful, like wounded animals limping home. They're gone, Tom reported from the Blue Star. Long-range sensors show them entering faster than light. They're running straight back to Dominion space. The bridge crew of the Reckoning finally relaxed. Kate slumped at her station, exhausted but proud. John's team cheered as the tactical displays confirmed their victory. Guardian, Walker called out. What did we just achieve here? The Reckoning has evolved beyond its original design parameters. The Phoenix Initiative believed humanity would need a weapon to defend itself. Instead, you have created something more. A shield that will make any future invader think twice before attacking Earth. Kate looked at her readings in amazement. The changes in the hull, the new quantum abilities, we can teach these to other ships, can't we? We can help humanity advance centuries in just a few years. Walker nodded, looking out at the stars through the ship's liquid metal walls. The Reckoning had been a gift from the past, but its greatest gift wasn't its power. It was the proof that humanity could master any technology, adapt to any challenge, and overcome any odds. The ship that shouldn't exist had just changed the course of human history. And somewhere out there, the Dominion fleet was carrying a message to the galaxy. Humanity was not to be underestimated. Not anymore. The stars glowed like distant jewels against the black canvas of space. Captain James watched them from the bridge of the scout ship Vigilant as it moved slowly through the outer rim territories. "Sensors picking up something odd, Captain," said Officer Tom, his eyes fixed on the screen in front of him. "Energy readings unlike anything I've seen before." James walked over and looked at the readings. They showed a strange pulse, weak but steady, coming from Sector 7. This area was supposed to be empty. "How far?" he asked. "About 3 hours at full speed," Tom replied. James thought for a moment. Their orders were clear: patrol the border, report any findings, and return to base. Investigating strange signals wasn't part of the mission, but something about this reading made him curious. "Set course for the signal," James ordered, "but keep weapons ready, just in case." "Sir, Command ordered us to." "I know what Command ordered," James cut in. "But if this is a distress signal or something dangerous, we need to check it out." The Vigilant changed direction and sped toward the mysterious energy source. James felt a mix of excitement and worry. The Galactic Coalition had mapped most of this region, yet this signal was completely unknown. 3 hours later, the ship slowed near the source of the signal. "Visual coming up now," said Tom. The main screen showed a large object floating in space. It was a ship, but unlike any James had ever seen. Its hull was dark gray with faded markings. It was huge, almost 3 times the size of the Vigilant, with strange bulges and angles that made no sense to the eye. "What is that?" asked Lisa, the communications officer. "It looks like a warship," James said slowly, "but not one I recognize." Tom ran the ship through the database. "No matches found, sir. According to our records, this ship doesn't exist." "That's impossible," James replied. "Every ship built in the last 300 years is in that database." "Well, this one isn't," Tom confirmed. James ordered a closer scan. The results showed the ship was powered down but not damaged. It had no life signs on board. The hull markings were in an old Earth language. "I can make out a name," Lisa said, looking at the enhanced images. "Defiance." "Defiance?" James repeated. "Check the military records for any ship with that name." Lisa searched quickly. "Nothing, sir. According to our files, no military vessel called Defiance was ever built." James made a decision. "Prepare a boarding team. We need to see what's inside." An hour later, James led a small team across the space between the 2 ships. Engineer Marcus and Security Officer Ben followed closely behind. Their magnetic boots clanked against the hull of the mysterious vessel. "The airlock seems operational," Marcus said, examining the entry point. "I think I can get it open." After some work, the ancient door slid open with a hiss of pressure. The team turned on their lights and stepped inside. The air was stale but breathable. "Power levels are minimal," Marcus noted, "just enough to maintain basic systems and life support." They moved through dark corridors lined with technology that looked both old and strangely advanced. The ship's design made no sense. Some parts looked like they were from 200 years ago, while others seemed beyond current technology. "This layout doesn't match any standard military design," Ben observed. They reached what appeared to be the bridge. Marcus found a control panel that still had power and managed to turn on some lights. The room lit up dimly, revealing rows of stations and a large commander's chair in the center. "Let's see if we can access the ship's logs," James said. Marcus worked on the main console while the others explored the bridge. After several minutes, the screens flickered to life, showing data in an old format. "I got something," Marcus called. According to these logs, this ship was built in a secret facility on Earth over 200 years ago, during the Dark Decade. The Dark Decade was a time of chaos when many records were lost during the Great Data Crash. It was a period shrouded in mystery. The logs say the Defiance was part of a special project, Marcus continued, reading the screen. It was designed to counter an alien threat that intelligence predicted would attack Earth. But the threat never came. So they built this ship and then what? Just abandoned it out here? Lisa asked over the comm link from the Vigilant. Not exactly, Marcus replied. According to this, the Defiance was hidden away as a contingency plan. A last resort weapon if humanity ever faced extinction. James looked around the bridge with new understanding. This isn't just a warship. It's a lifeboat and a weapon combined. Captain. Tom's urgent voice came through the comm. We're picking up multiple ships entering the sector. A lot of them. Can you identify? James asked. Not yet, but they're moving in formation. Definitely military. James turned to his team. We need to get back to the Vigilant. Before they could move, Marcus called out, Wait, there's more in the logs. This ship has technology that was experimental even for its time. Weapons and defense systems unlike anything we have today. We don't have time for this, James said. We need tow. An alarm blared through their comms. Lisa's voice cut in. Captain, they're Krell vessels. A full battle group headed straight for us. Everyone froze. The Krell were an aggressive species that had fought humans before. The current peace was fragile at best. They're hailing us, Lisa added. Tell them we're on a routine patrol and discovered an abandoned vessel, James ordered. We'll return to our territory immediately. As the team hurried back through the corridors toward the airlock, a new alarm sounded from within the Defiance itself. The lights around them suddenly brightened. Panels lit up along the walls. The ship was waking up. What did you do? James asked Marcus. Nothing, the engineer replied. It must be responding to the Krell presence. James's comm crackled again with Lisa's voice, now tense with fear. Captain, the Krell are demanding we surrender what they're calling the illegal human warship immediately. Their weapons are powering up. As they reached the airlock, a smooth artificial voice spoke from all around them. External threat detected. Defense protocols initializing. Welcome aboard the UES Defiance, humanity's guardian. I am Atlas, the ship's artificial intelligence. Please identify yourselves. The dead ship wasn't dead anymore, and a fleet of Krell warships was coming straight toward them. I repeat, I am Atlas, the artificial intelligence of the UES Defiance, the calm voice said again. Please identify yourselves. Captain James looked at Marcus and Ben. Their faces showed the same shock he felt. I am Captain James of the Galactic Coalition scout ship Vigilant, he finally replied. We found your ship abandoned and came to investigate. Understood, Captain, Atlas responded. My systems indicate your vessel is under threat. The approaching ships match Krell attack patterns in my database. James's comm unit buzzed. Captain. Lisa's voice was urgent. The Krell commander is demanding to speak with you directly. He seems very angry about this ship. James turned to Marcus. What's happening with this Why did it activate now? Marcus studied a nearby console. From what I can tell, it was in standby mode. The ship has passive sensors that must have detected the Krell ships and triggered its defense protocols. Captain, we need to return to the Vigilant. Ben urged. Agreed. Atlas, we're leaving now. Please deactivate your systems. I cannot comply, Captain, Atlas replied. My core programming requires me to remain operational when a threat is detected. The Krell fleet represents a Class 1 threat to human personnel. Before James could argue, Lisa's voice came through again. Captain, the Krell are getting impatient. Their weapons are fully charged. Patch them through, James ordered. The voice that came next was deep and harsh. This is Admiral Vox of the Krell Defense Force. You have illegally salvaged a restricted weapon. Surrender the vessel immediately or face destruction. James was confused. Admiral, we only discovered this ship hours ago. We have no claim on it. "Do not play games, human," Vox growled. "Our records show this vessel destroyed an entire Krell battle group 60 years ago before disappearing. We have searched for it ever since." James looked around the bridge of the Defiance with new understanding. This ship had fought before. "Admiral, we had no knowledge of this ship's history. I suggest we both withdraw and let our governments discuss this matter." "Unacceptable," came the reply. "That vessel must be destroyed. It is too dangerous to exist." The communication cut off abruptly. Marcus's tablet beeped with an alert. "They're targeting the Vigilant," he shouted. Through the viewport, James watched in horror as bright beams of energy shot from the lead Krell ship toward their small scout vessel. The Vigilant tried to evade, but it was too slow. The beams struck it directly. "No!" James yelled as the Vigilant broke apart in a flash of light and debris. "Life pod signals detected," Atlas announced. 4 pods successfully launched from your vessel." James felt relief wash over him. The crew had escaped. "Can you retrieve those pods?" he asked Atlas. "Affirmative. Activating retrieval systems." The deck beneath them hummed as the Defiance came fully to life. Lights brightened throughout the ship. On a nearby screen, James watched as mechanical arms extended from the hull, carefully collecting the small escape pods. "Pods secured," Atlas reported. "Crew members are unharmed and being brought to the main hangar bay." Marcus was studying the ship's systems with growing amazement. "Captain, you need to see this. The ship's defenses are unlike anything I've ever seen, and they're all coming online." The screens around them showed the Defiance transforming. Panels shifted on the outer hull, revealing weapon ports and defense systems. The ship's energy readings climbed rapidly. "Alert," Atlas announced. "Krell vessels are surrounding us. They are preparing a coordinated attack." "Can this ship defend itself?" James asked. The Defiance was designed to face threats far beyond current Krell capabilities, Atlas replied. "However, after 2 centuries of dormancy, I can only guarantee 47% operational capacity." "That doesn't sound promising," Ben muttered. The ship shuddered as the first Krell shots hit its shields. "Shield integrity at 98%, Atlas reported calmly. "Minimal impact." James and his team made their way to the hangar bay where they found Lisa and the remaining crew from the Vigilant. They looked scared but unhurt. "What's happening?" Lisa asked as they entered. "This ship is like nothing I've ever seen. It's an ancient defense vessel," James explained quickly. "And the Krell are terrified of it." Another impact rocked the ship. "We need to get to the bridge," James decided. "If we're going to survive this, we need to understand what this ship can do." As they hurried through the corridors, the Defiance continued to transform around them. Walls shifted, creating new pathways. Systems that had been dormant for centuries hummed to life. When they reached the bridge, they found it completely changed. The dim, dusty room they had explored earlier was now bright and active. Holographic displays showed the positions of the Krell ships surrounding them. "Welcome back, Captain," Atlas greeted them. "I have completed my initial system checks. The Krell fleet consists of 1 command ship, 6 battle cruisers, and 24 support vessels." "That's an entire war fleet," Lisa whispered. "Why are they so afraid of this one ship?" James wondered aloud. "I can answer that," Atlas replied. 63 years ago, the Defiance was discovered by a Krell exploration team who attempted to capture it. The ship's automated defenses activated and destroyed their forces before returning to dormancy. "So the legend of a human ghost ship that destroyed a Krell fleet was real," Marcus said. "And now they want to make sure it never happens again," James added. The largest Krell ship moved closer, its weapons glowing with power. "They're preparing to fire their main cannon," Atlas announced. "Recommended action. Activate countermeasures." "What countermeasures?" James asked. "The Defiance possesses dimensional phase shifting technology. We can temporarily move the ship partially out of normal space, allowing enemy fire to pass through harmlessly." James looked at his frightened crew, then at the approaching Krell fleet. They had no choice. "Do it," he ordered. "Initiating phase shift," Atlas replied. The bridge view shimmered slightly as the Krell fired their main weapon. The beam of energy, powerful enough to destroy a small moon, shot directly toward them and passed right through the ship. "Phase shift successful," Atlas reported. "No damage sustained." On the screens, they could see the confusion on the Krell ships as their most powerful weapon had no effect. "Captain," Atlas said, "I should inform you that the Defiance was designed not just to defend, but to fight. Weapons systems are online and awaiting your command." James looked at the holographic display, showing 31 Krell warships surrounding one ancient human vessel that shouldn't exist. "Show me what this ship can do," he said quietly. The bridge of the Defiance hummed with energy as screens displayed the surrounding Krell fleet. The alien vessels circled cautiously after witnessing their main weapon pass harmlessly through the ship. "They're confused," Lisa said, watching the movement of the enemy ships. "They don't know what to do next." At last, James asked, "What weapons does this ship have?" "The Defiance is equipped with multiple defense and attack systems," the AI responded. "Primary weapons include gravity pulse cannons, particle beam arrays, and the Horizon Array." "I don't recognize any of those weapon types," Marcus said, his eyes wide. "They were experimental when this ship was built," Atlas explained. "The technology was never shared widely due to its destructive potential." A warning flashed across the main screen. The Krell ships were moving into attack formation. "They're going to try a coordinated attack," Ben observed. "Hit us from all sides at once." "Atlas, can we maintain the phase shift to protect ourselves?" James asked. "Negative, Captain. The phase shift can only be maintained for short periods. It requires significant power and creates stress on the hull structure." James thought quickly. "Then we need to show them we can fight back. Target the nearest ship with the least destructive weapon we have. I want to disable, not destroy." "Understood. Targeting gravity pulse cannon at minimum power." On the screen, they watched as a strange ripple emerged from the Defiance and shot toward one of the smaller Krell ships. When it hit, the alien vessel didn't explode. Instead, it began to tumble slowly, as if caught in an invisible current. "What happened to it?" Lisa asked. "The gravity pulse temporarily disrupted their artificial gravity and stabilization systems," Atlas explained. "The ship is intact but unable to maintain position or targeting." "Send a message to the Krell commander," James ordered. "Tell him we don't want to fight but will defend ourselves if attacked." While Lisa worked on the communication, Marcus explored more of the ship's database. "Captain, I found something interesting," he called. According to these files, the Defiance was built by someone named Thomas Reed. He was a brilliant engineer who worked during the Dark Decade. "What else does it say about him?" James asked, joining Marcus at the console. Reed believed humanity would face extinction-level threats from other species. He designed this ship to evolve its own technology over time. "The Defiance isn't just a warship. It's a learning system. That explains why the Krell are so afraid of it," James said. "If it can adapt and improve itself." "They're responding to our message," Lisa interrupted. Admiral Vox's harsh voice filled the bridge. "Your demonstration is noted, human, but it changes nothing. That vessel has technology forbidden by the Galactic Treaty. It must be surrendered or destroyed." "The Defiance predates any treaty," James replied. "And we only activated its defensive capabilities after you destroyed our scout ship." "You leave us no choice," Vox growled. "Prepare to be annihilated." The communication ended. On the screens, the Krell ships began to move in perfect formation. "Captain," Atlas announced, "I have detected communication to other Krell forces. They are calling for reinforcements." James turned to his crew. "We need to know more about this ship's capabilities if we're going to survive." "I can help with that," said a new voice. Everyone turned to see a holographic figure standing in the center of the bridge. It was an older man with gray hair and kind eyes. Thomas Reed, Marcus whispered. The hologram nodded. A recording of him, at least. I am a memory program designed to activate when the ship faces its first real battle. I see that time has come. We need to know why the Krell fear this ship so much, James said to the hologram. The Defiance was built with one purpose, to ensure humanity's survival, Reed's image explained. I designed it with systems that could adapt to any threat. The ship learns from each attack and improves its defenses. But why do the Krell know about it? Lisa asked. 60 years ago, a prototype of this vessel was discovered by Krell forces, Reed's hologram explained. They attempted to capture it, but the automated defenses responded. The prototype destroyed their attack force before disappearing again. That matches what HFY told us, James said. The Krell believe humans have been secretly building more ships like this. Reed continued. They fear an armada of vessels with this technology would make humans the dominant species in the galaxy. Are there more ships like this? Ben asked. The hologram smiled mysteriously. That information is classified, even from this recording. A warning alarm blared through the ship. The Krell are attacking, Atlas announced. Multiple energy signatures detected from all vessels. Can we use the phase shift again? James asked urgently. Not yet, Atlas replied. Systems are still recharging. Then what options do we have? The adaptive armor can absorb some of the energy, Reed's hologram suggested. Atlas, activate the absorption grid. Activating now. The ship shuddered as dozens of energy beams struck it simultaneously. The lights flickered, but the shields held. Shield integrity at 72%. Atlas reported. Damage minimal. Adaptive systems are analyzing attack patterns. What does that mean? Lisa asked. The ship is learning, Reed's hologram explained. Each time it's attacked, it adjusts its defenses to be more effective against that specific weapon. On the screens, they could see the Krell preparing for another volley. We can't just keep taking hits, James said. We need to show them we're serious. The particle beam array is now charged, Atlas announced. Target their lead ship's weapon systems, only, James ordered. Disable, don't destroy. A bright blue beam shot from the Defiance and struck the largest Krell vessel precisely where its main cannon was mounted. The weapon exploded in a shower of sparks. Direct hit, Atlas confirmed. Their primary weapon is offline. The Krell ships adjusted their formation, spreading out to surround the Defiance more completely. They're calling in the reinforcements, Lisa reported, listening to intercepted communications. At least 20 more ships on the way. We can't fight an entire Krell armada, Ben said. Reed's hologram looked at James with serious eyes. Captain, this ship has one more system that might help. The Horizon Array. Atlas mentioned that before. What is it? It's the most powerful weapon ever created by humans, Reed explained. It manipulates space-time itself, creating a temporary distortion that can disable multiple ships at once. That sounds dangerous, James said. It is, Reed admitted, but it might be our only option against these numbers. Before James could respond, a new wave of attacks hit the ship. This time, the impact was stronger. Shield integrity at 45%. Atlas reported. The Krell have adjusted their weapons to counter our defenses. They're learning to, Marcus realized. James looked at the screens showing more Krell ships arriving by the minute. They were running out of time and options. How long until the Horizon Array is ready? He asked quietly. It can be prepared in 3 minutes, Atlas replied. Do it, James ordered, but target it carefully. I want to disable their ships, not destroy them. As Atlas began the activation sequence, Reed's hologram regarded James with approval. You understand the purpose of the Defiance, he said, not to conquer, but to protect. I understand that having power doesn't mean you should use it to destroy, James replied, even when faced with an enemy that would destroy you. The ship hummed with building energy as the Horizon Array prepared to fire. The bridge of the Defiance vibrated as energy built up throughout the ship. On the screens, the Krell fleet had grown to over 50 vessels, all positioned to attack. Horizon Array at 70% charge, Atlas announced. 2 minutes until ready. They're moving into final attack position, Ben warned, watching the enemy ships. James made a decision. Atlas, open a channel to Admiral Vox. Channel open, Captain. Admiral Vox, this is Captain James. I'm asking you one last time to stand down. We have activated a weapon system that could disable your entire fleet. We don't want to use it. There was a long pause before the Admiral responded. You bluff, human, Vox growled. No single ship has such capability. The Defiance is not an ordinary ship, James replied. You know that, or you wouldn't have brought an entire armada to destroy it. Another pause. Then, you have 1 minute to surrender the vessel. The communication ended. They're not going to back down, Lisa said quietly. Then we need to show them we're serious, James decided. Atlas, when the Horizon Array is ready, target the empty space between the Krell ships. I want to show them what it can do without harming anyone. Understood, Captain. Marcus had been studying the ship's systems on a Sci console. He looked up with concern. Captain, I found something interesting about the ship's power core. It's using a controlled singularity, basically a contained black hole, as its power source. A black hole? Ben asked in disbelief. Inside the ship. It's tiny and completely contained, Marcus explained. But it explains how the ship can generate so much power for its weapons and defenses. Is it stable? James asked. According to these readings, yes, but using the Horizon Array will draw heavily from it. The ship shook violently as a new wave of Krell attacks hit the shields. Shield integrity at 31%, Atlas reported. Critical failure possible if attacks continue. Horizon Array at 95% charge, Reed's hologram announced. Almost ready. James looked at the tactical display. The Krell ships had formed a perfect circle around them, preparing for what they hoped would be the final blow. As soon as the array is ready, fire at the coordinates I specified, James ordered. Understood, Atlas replied. Horizon Array fully charged, targeting empty space at the center of the Krell formation. Fire. For a moment, nothing seemed to happen. Then, in the space between the Krell ships, a strange distortion appeared. It looked like a ripple in water, but in space itself. The ripple grew quickly, expanding outward. When it reached the first line of Krell ships, they didn't explode or break apart. Instead, their lights flickered and went dark. Ship after ship lost power as the distortion wave passed through them. What's happening to them? Lisa asked. The Horizon Array creates a temporary disruption in space-time, Reed's hologram explained. It affects electrical systems and power generation, but doesn't harm organic life. On the screens, they could see over 20 Krell ships now floating powerless in space. Open a channel to Admiral Vox again, James ordered. His ship was affected by the array. Atlas reported. They have limited communications only. Can they hear me? Yes, Captain. Admiral Vox, as you can see, we disabled nearly half your fleet without destroying a single ship. We don't want this fight. Stand down now, and we can talk. The response was immediate and angry. This proves you are too dangerous to exist. All remaining ships, attack with everything you have. The remaining Krell vessels, including Vox's command ship, which had partially recovered, fired all their weapons simultaneously. Brace for impact, James shouted. The Defiance shook violently as multiple energy beams struck it from all directions. Panels exploded on the bridge, and the crew was thrown to the floor. Shield failure, Atlas reported, the AI's voice now showing signs of strain. Hull breaches on decks 3 through 7. Emergency containment activated. Casualties? James asked, picking himself up from the floor. None reported. All areas were automated or unoccupied. James looked at the damage reports. The ship had taken a serious hit, but it was still functional. Atlas, what offensive capabilities do we still have? The Horizon Array requires 1 hour to recharge. Gravity pulse cannons are offline. Particle beam arrays at 50% capacity. And what about our defenses? The adaptive armor is learning from the attack patterns. Effectiveness will increase by approximately 28% against similar attacks. Reed's hologram flickered unstably. Captain, there's something else you should know. The Defiance has one more system, the Aegis Protocol. What does it do? James asked. It links the ship's adaptive systems directly to the attack patterns of the enemy. Every shot they fire actually makes the ship stronger against that specific weapon. Can we activate it? It's already happening, Reed said with a small smile. It's been happening since the first attack. The Defiance was designed to become more powerful the longer it fights. On the screens, they could see the Krell preparing for another attack. They're changing their weapon frequencies, Atlas reported, attempting to find a weakness in our defenses. Let them try, Marcus said with growing confidence. If what Reed says is true, each attack just makes us stronger. The next wave hit, but this time the impact was noticeably less severe. Shield integrity holding at 25%, Atlas announced. Adaptive systems functioning correctly. James watched as the Krell ships adjusted position again. They were becoming desperate. Captain, Lisa called out. I'm intercepting communications between Admiral Vox and the Krell High Command. They're ordering him to destroy us at any cost. They're afraid of what this ship represents. They should be, Ben said. One ship taking on an entire fleet and winning. That's impossible. Not impossible, Reed's hologram corrected. Just unlikely. And the Defiance was built for the unlikely scenario. Another attack came. And again, the ship withstood it better than the last. Particle beam arrays recharge, Atlas reported. Awaiting your orders, Captain. James studied the tactical display. The remaining Krell ships were clustered around Vox's command vessel. Target their engines, he ordered. Let's stop them from maneuvering, but leave their life support intact. The Defiance fired precise beams that struck each Krell ship exactly where their engines were located. One by one, they lost the ability to move, floating helplessly in space. All enemy vessels immobilized, Atlas confirmed. A stunned silence fell over the bridge. They had done the impossible. One ship had effectively defeated an entire fleet. Open a channel to Admiral Vox, James said quietly. The Admiral's face appeared on screen, his alien features twisted with rage. You see now why your people feared this ship, James told him. But also why your fear was misplaced. We could have destroyed your entire fleet, but we chose not to. You will not be so merciful next time, Vox snarled. There doesn't have to be a next time, James replied. This ends here, with both sides still alive. As James ended the communication, Reed's hologram looked at him with approval. You used the ship exactly as I intended, he said. Not as a weapon of destruction, but as a shield for peace. What do we do now? Lisa asked. The Krell will never let us keep this ship. James looked around at his crew, then at the screen showing the disabled Krell fleet. I have an idea, he said, but it's going to be risky. Captain James looked at his crew gathered on the bridge of the Defiance. They had just achieved the impossible, defeating an entire Krell fleet without destroying a single ship. But James knew this was only the beginning. The Krell will send more ships, he said. And next time, they won't hold back. So what's your plan? Lisa asked. James turned to the hologram of Thomas Reed. You mentioned the ship has other capabilities we haven't used yet. What about movement? Can it travel faster than our standard ships? Reed smiled. The Defiance has a dimensional jump drive. It doesn't just move through space. It can temporarily shift between dimensions, appearing anywhere in the galaxy almost instantly. So we can escape. Ben asked hopefully. We could, James replied, but that wouldn't solve the problem. The Krell would keep hunting this ship forever. Marcus, who had been studying the ship's data systems, looked up suddenly. Captain, I think I found something interesting. I've been analyzing the Krell communications Lisa intercepted. What did you find? James asked. Their messages contain references to something called the human ascendancy. It seems their real fear isn't just this ship. It's the belief that humans are destined to become the dominant species in the galaxy. That's why they want to destroy the Defiant so badly, Lisa realized. They see it as proof of superior human technology. James thought for a moment. Then we need to change their perspective. Atlas, is the jump drive operational? Yes, Captain. The dimensional jump system is at full capacity. How precise can it be? The Defiants can emerge at exact coordinates with 99.8% accuracy. James smiled. Perfect. I want you to calculate a jump that will place us directly in the middle of the Krell command ships, within visual range, but not close enough to threaten them. That's incredibly risky, Ben warned. We'd be surrounded. That's exactly the point, James replied. Atlas, how long until Krell reinforcements arrive? Based on intercepted communications, approximately 20 minutes. Then we have 20 minutes to prepare. Marcus, I need you to compile all the data we have on the Krell communications. Lisa, prepare a message to be sent to all Krell ships simultaneously. As the crew worked frantically, Reed's hologram approached James. You're taking a considerable risk, Captain, he said. Sometimes the only way to end a fight is to face your enemy directly, James replied. This ship was built to protect humanity. I think the best protection now is understanding. 15 minutes later, everything was ready. The crew gathered on the bridge, tension filling the air. Jump drive charged and ready, Atlas announced. Coordinates locked on Krell command group. Everyone ready? James asked, looking at his crew. They nodded nervously. Execute jump. The view on the screens blurred, and for a brief moment, everyone felt a strange sensation, as if they existed in multiple places at once. Then reality snapped back into focus. The Defiants had appeared in the middle of a group of 7 large Krell vessels, the command ships of their fleet. Alarms immediately sounded as the Krell detected their presence. We're being targeted by all ships, Atlas reported. They are charging weapons. Open all channels, James ordered. I want every Krell officer to hear this. Lisa activated the communication system. Channel open, Captain. James took a deep breath. This is Captain James of the human vessel Defiance. I'm speaking to all Krell ships in your high command. We could have escaped. Instead, we've come directly to you with our weapons powered down. On the screens, they could see Krell ships moving into attack positions. We've analyzed your communications, James continued. We understand your real fear, that humans will become the dominant species in the galaxy. That's why you want to destroy this ship so badly. Admiral Vox's voice came through the speakers. Your actions prove our concerns. One vessel defeating an entire fleet is unprecedented, and yet we disabled your ships without destroying them, James countered. We had the power to annihilate your fleet but chose not to. That's the part you're missing. James nodded to Marcus, who sent the compiled data to the Krell ships. We're sending you all our data on this vessel. The Defiance was built centuries ago as a last resort against extinction. It was never meant to conquer or dominate. There was silence from the Krell ships. James continued. I propose a new solution. This ship doesn't belong to us or to you. It's a relic of history. Let it be studied by both our species. Let its technology be used for peaceful purposes under joint oversight. Impossible, Vox replied. Such technology cannot be shared. It's already being shared, James said calmly. Right now, as we speak. On the screens, a new group of ships appeared. The Krell reinforcements had arrived. There were dozens of them, surrounding the Defiance completely. This is your final warning, Vox threatened. "Surrender the vessel or be destroyed." Before James could respond, a new voice joined the communication, older and more authoritative. "Admiral Vox, stand down immediately." "High Commander." Vox sounded shocked. "This human vessel has shown both tremendous power and tremendous restraint," the High Commander interrupted. "Our sensors confirm their weapons are inactive despite being surrounded by our fleet. Their actions merit consideration." The bridge crew exchanged hopeful glances. Captain James, the High Commander, addressed him directly. "Your proposal is unexpected. Joint study of such a vessel would be unprecedented." "Sometimes unprecedented actions lead to unprecedented peace," James replied. There was a long pause before the High Commander spoke again. "We will consider your proposal. Until then, no hostile action will be taken against your vessel." As the communication ended, the crew let out a collective breath of relief. "Did that really just work?" Ben asked in disbelief. "Not completely," James cautioned. "But it's a start." Reed's hologram looked at James with approval. "You found a third option, neither running nor fighting, but understanding." "The Defiance was built to save humanity," James said. "Today, maybe it saved us from ourselves by showing there's always another way." As the tension on the bridge eased, Atlas made an announcement. "Captain, I have detected a signal activation in the ship's deep communication system." "What does that mean?" James asked. Reed's hologram smiled mysteriously. "It means the Defiance is not alone. There are others like it throughout the galaxy, waiting and watching. And now they know that humans have chosen wisdom over power." "Are there really more ships like this?" Lisa asked. "That information remains classified," Reed replied. "But I will say this. The Defiance was never meant to be humanity's sword. It was meant to be our shield until we learned we didn't need either." James looked out at the Krull ships now holding position around them. What had begun as a battle had transformed into the first step toward a new understanding between species. "So what happens now?" Ben asked. "Now," James said with a small smile, "we start talking instead of fighting. And that's always been the hardest part." The Defiance floated peacefully among the Krull ships, no longer a mysterious threat, but a bridge between two civilizations that had nearly destroyed each other out of fear. The warship that shouldn't exist had done the impossible twice, first by defeating a fleet, and then by creating peace.